All right, y'all. CB here at NBS Welding. We're here in the shop today. Got another racing quad bike. Got to get some framework done on it. I've been doing quite a few of these lately. It's funny how you get into a certain kind of work, and the word gets out and more stuff comes in. And so we're going to get this thing up on the table, use the hillbilly bridge crane to get it up in place. And here's what we see. We got a major steering issue. This baby, she ain't gonna steer like this. So I don't know if you'd call that the rack or what, but when I'm turning the handlebars, you can see the main pivot section for the steering here is busted completely loose from the frame, and that's no good. Now, to get in here, we're going to have to take this brush guard off, and the brush guard is aluminum, and I also realized it's got some issues we're going to work on too. But the first thing is going to be getting this steering part back in place. Tried a few different things. I was realizing that this was not going to be very easy to get back in place. I could realize that real quick. I pried on it a little. I tried different ways getting a clamp in there. And this is one of those scenarios where I could not get it completely in place at one time. And what I'm showing you right here, on this one side at the top, it is in the right place. And sometimes on stuff like this, if you can only get one spot in the right place, you got to tack it. And then, continue to work and pull. But a lot of times, if you get one spot in the right place and get a tack, it will help you to get the other parts where they need to be. Something I do on these frames, I might use a propane torch to get that thin metal warmed up a little bit before I clean it. These have some really good paint or powder coat on them that can be kind of difficult to get off there. And it seems like it works a little better if it's warm. And if it's in one of these places, there's a lot of places on this job where I can't get my big angle grinder with a power brush in there or a really aggressive tool in there. And if you can't get a really aggressive, powerful paint and rust removal tool in there, you might have to resort to warming it up and wire brushing and filing and different things. But we just got to get this one tack in the one spot where it is fitting where it's supposed to, and go back to work on trying to get the rest of it to go. And what I realized on this was I was going to have to do some pulling. I use some Harrington mini pullers a lot for pulling, and one of the things about doing work on these frames, like something like this, in order to pull another very necessary tool is the table itself. I'm going to set this mini puller up to pull in the front. I'll get me another mini puller and connect it to the rear axle, and then connect that to the other side of the table, because I got to hold the whole quad down. And all of this is like just part of figuring out what it takes. You see, I've got the skid plate pressed down out of the way, and I've set some wooden blocks on it. I'm using the hillbilly bridge crane hoist to raise the whole quad up and put some wooden blocks in there so there's blocks underneath of it, and then put the Harrington mini puller come along where I need it to pull down. And with all these different things, with it bound down to the table, and the wooden blocks, and the mini puller, and the hammer, and the twisting, just keep on working at it and see if you can figure out what works and what don't to get the parts back in the place. That side is definitely looking a little better. The top of this side's good, but the bottom is not. The bottom's still tweaked out quite a ways. And if you ever wonder why a lot of times parts like this don't puzzle piece back together, you got to remember how they broke. This didn't break all at once. Somebody was riding this thing and part of it broke, and they kept riding it. And, they're racing. they gotta stay with the program. They're not going to stop and talk about it. And so as it peeled off there, it bent the part. And then I realized I went and got me a round bar that was long enough I could actually use a hammer at a distance. So you can see by holding the round bar against that bottom part and then hitting it with a hammer out 2.5 feet away, I was able to improve that situation a little bit. But like I say, the way it tore loose, it's not going to be perfect. Hey, let's do a t-shirt ad. Bear with me here. Boss Lady Tina's selling these NBS Welding t-shirts. Got NBS Welding on the front, American flag on the sleeve, and a great big NBS Welding on the back. Send her an email to nbswelding@aol.com. $25 plus shipping for a t-shirt. Boss Lady Tina will hook you up. So, we're back. We got that improved considerably, and I think this is probably as good as we're going to get it. Yeah, the way she tore loose, this is probably as close to being back where it's supposed to be as we're going to be able to get it. And I think we're looking really good. I think everything that remains that's not exactly perfect is probably just a result of the way the parts got tweaked and bent. And another thing you can see here on our brush guard mount. Yep. Our brush guard mount is broken too. So we'll fix that while we're here. I don't think that had anything to do with the other, but it's all in the same place. And I try to look all around these frames when I work on them. You know, if I find anything needs done, get it taken care of while you're welding on it. So another thing about the brush guard is I noticed we got 3 bolts that look like this, 1 bolt that looks like that, and the reason that one looks like that, it's got an easy out on it. And sometimes your easy outs will stay in the hole, and sometimes they come off on the bolt. If this happens, what you got to do is put the bolt back in there and see if you got threads in there. And if you got threads in there, and everything seems okay, you can use that bolt. Normally it would be more desirable if somebody put a helicoil in something that it would stay in and not stay on the bolt, but it works either way as long as there's threads, and in this case it's fine. So we're going to be able to use that. So we get this tacked back together, and the next thing is going to be trying to add some gussets to make it stronger and, you know, put us in a position where hopefully there's not any more issue on this part. So made me a little pattern, and I'll take my little cardboard pattern over on some steel. I'm going to use I've got a diamond grinding wheel here that's actually for grinding concrete, and I'm using it to remove the rust. And then I use my sanding pad to smooth it up a little bit. And so we're getting this piece of metal cleaned up because we're going to cut a couple gussets. So we'll put the pattern up there and use the soapstone. And you could cut these out with a plasma, but it's so daggone tiny. I just ended up using a cutting wheel. I've been using a cutting wheel on stuff this small, and done a couple of these lately. And like I say, you could do either one. It's not going to make any difference. But you cut these parts out. I use a sanding pad, clean them up. We get those tacked in place, and as you can see, I mean, I'm just looking at this, and I can tell when that gets welded up, it's going to be a whole lot better than what it was. And it should definitely take care of the issue there. So we just got to get the thing welded up, and I'm using the Arc Captain MiG 205 Pro with some 025 solid MIG wire. I don't generally buy MIG wire smaller than 30 thousandths. So it's rare for me to have the 025. This was some 025 wire that I picked up. It was on a special deal at Harbor Freight, and it had the lowest price I'd ever seen on solid MIG wire. I usually, if I see somebody's got something for sale, I'll calculate it out per pound, and it was a good deal. So I realized the reason I probably got a good deal on this wire is they had a good deal on 045 and 025, and it was probably because Harbor Freight don't sell much of it. Most people use 030 like me, and there's also 035 that's pretty popular. And I think the most universal one that does about everything is going to be the 030. But I will say the 025 diameter solid MIG wire is really good on these frames. If metal this thin is something you do a lot of, you might want to use that solid or that smaller solid MIG wire. Generally, like I say though, 30 thousandths, the 030 is small enough for me. This was a tough place to reach into. I got welds in here that are going to work. It's not the most beautiful. I could have taken the time to take a lot more of this quad apart to reach in there better, but I didn't, and it wouldn't be necessary. So let me do another advertisement here, guys. Just bear with me. I need support for the channel. I really do. And Fitville is helping us out by supplying us with products to test. And these are the Fitville Steel Core work boot. I've been wearing with a composite toe. You can see I've got molten gobs of aluminum stuck to them on the front. Those have been, they're a work boot that feels like a sneaker. And these right here are even more comfortable. They are not composite toe. They're not considered a work boot, but I do wear them in the shop. This is the Fitville Lug Max Outdoor, and boy, these are comfortable shoes. And if I wear those on the concrete, my back notices the difference. That Lug Max sole gives me the comfort. Now, these are the running shoes. I've got 150 miles on these Fitville Jet Core running shoes. I run about 5 miles at a time, 10 to 15 miles a week. And having 150 miles on these shoes, these are the best running shoes that I've had. And, having 150 miles on them shows you if those shoes were not good shoes, they'd be coming apart. These are the Fitville windproof sunglasses I wear when I run. I run 5 miles in these glasses and they stay put. They're not super dark, but they do knock off the glare. So even in the early morning or evening time, they're not too dark. But when it's really bright out, they're a big help. So in the description of my videos, there is a link to the Fitville. And you go to the Fitville and buy any products, use the code CB28 and you'll get 28% off your purchase. Now, the dozer blade. I call these dozer blades because the way these guys drive these things through the woods. This aluminum brush guard, there's a couple things I noticed. Obviously, it's been cracking, and that's not good. The other thing I noticed was this has been modified. The bottom of this has been cut to fit on this four-wheeler. And that might be it might be because it doesn't fit this four-wheeler, or it might be because they added that skid plate to the front, and they had to modify this to get the skid plate to go up the front and underneath. I don't know, but I just realized that it's been intentionally cut. So pulling the bottom in tight is, you wouldn't want to do that because you're not going to be able to get it back on there. And we've got this tearing that's taking place at that bent part where it rolls down, and I just wonder, what are we going to do about it? So about the best thing we can do is weld it up and try to add some weld. And I don't think these guys are going to be really concerned too much about what it looks like right there. If, as far as like it, I don't think they're going to require that it gets sanded down completely smooth. And, because of that, I think the right thing to do is put some extra meat on there, put some extra aluminum on there. And, I'll probably take a sander and smooth it off a little bit, but I'm not going to grind that aluminum completely back down, flush. I'm going to leave as much of it on there as I can to make that part of it thicker. So this is with it kind of built up a little bit where it was failing, and the cracks welded up and built up, and I added. It's pretty cool to watch the TIG welding really on the speeded up version. The way I speed it up, it's amazing. Those rods are 1/8 and they're 3 foot long, and they just disappear like they do into that weld. But anyway, we're back here at the front to get this brush guard back on here. And one of the things I did, I took the little 1/4" drive impact gun and I run the bolts in and out just to get them cleaned up good. And what I'm applying here is blue Loctite. I don't use the red Loctite. Red Loctite's the stuff where you got to heat it to get it apart. I've never needed that. Blue is like the medium strength, and when I put that on there, it'll give it some corrosion resistance and also keep it from backing out.